hard not to smile when you see a headline that reminds you of Bob Cole. Everything is happening. Thanks so much for that, Zach. But everything is happening right now. In advance of the first round of the NHL Draft in Los Angeles, everything is happening. Noah Dobson has been dealt to the Montreal Canadiens for a pair of first-round picks. I don't think for 1 second that the new general manager with the New York Islanders is Matthew Darche, of course, is done by any respect with those picks, as he probably looks to move up to grab James Higgins and make it a twofer for the Islanders, poised to draft Matthew Schaefer first overall. But even before we get there, there's plenty of machinations and plenty of other things that were waiting to happen. And then this is going to be one of those drafts that's going to feel like after every single pick, there's going to be a pause or there's going to be a timeout, because teams are talking. And when there's a draft like this, like there's a consensus number one overall pick, and that's Matthew Schaefer. And, Matthew Darche has already said he's not trading the first overall pick. So we know that Matthew Darche is going to get up there and he's going to announce that the New York Islanders are drafting Matthew Schaefer. It's the right decision. Enjoy Matthew Schaefer for the next 10 or 15 years, New York Islanders fans. But then after that, we get a whole bunch of question marks. Are the San Jose Sharks married to that second overall pick? Or will they move down? Are they willing to trade that pick? Utah, I'm looking your direction. Nashville, I'm looking your direction as well. Or the San Jose Sharks just say, no, we're going to make that pick. And if they do, is it Michael Misa? Or is it the name of the day, Anton Frondel? Again, I reminded everybody at the beginning of the week, this is one of the weeks of the season, and perhaps the biggest week of the season, where everybody, lie is such a strong word, tries to disguise the truth. Yesterday with Pierre Maguire, I used a World War I saying, or was it World War II saying, which is, in wartime, it's from Winston Churchill, at wartime, the truth is so precious, she needs to be tended to by a bodyguard of lies. And I think managers look at that right now. There's the truth, and you need to surround it with lies, because right now the truth is way too precious. But the truth is the New York Islanders have traded Noah Dobson to the Montreal Canadiens. John Tavares has re-signed with the Toronto Maple Leafs. It is a 4-year contract. The AAV is $4.38 million. To which I wonder, and Zach, maybe you can help fill in the blanks on this one here for me. When's the last time the Leafs got a break on a contract? Like on the open market, and I'm thinking of like teams like Anaheim specifically Anaheim. He probably could have gotten short-term deal, maybe like a 2-year deal, $16 million. I wonder about Utah with Tavares. I wondered about Anaheim with Tavares. This is a break on the contract by John Tavares for the Toronto Maple Leafs and Brad Treliving. When was the last time they got a break like this? Wendell Clark? How far back do we have to go? Lanny?
Well, I was going to give him a break
David
and
Keon?
say like 2016 when Matthews, Marner, and Nylander were all rookies. Maybe that, when they had
their entry-level deals?
Yeah,
There's a CBA mandated.
The break.
Well, and then Lou didn't want to give them any of their Schedule A bonuses. No way. And then finally had to relent. So that wasn't even a break.
That's very true, because I actually forgot about that. So never mind. You
remember that
correct.
fight?
They didn't have a break.
Right.
Yeah, no, this is a long time, especially as a Maple Leafs fan watching, where I've been like, wow, very, very good job locking that up at that term. It feels like a win all the way around. It feels like a win.
One thing to keep in mind here, and again, like there's going to be more trades and more movement here, as everyone seems to want to get this done right here. There's something I think we all need to pay attention to here. With the San Jose Sharks selecting second overall, again, we're going to talk to Stephen Ellis coming up. And by the way, Brian Burke is finally back for Civilian Fridays after a 2-week hiatus while the show was on the road. One thing you need to keep in mind here, we always look at how much cap space teams have to spend. San Jose Sharks have $44 million worth of cap space. So if they want to make a deal and bring in big ticket, i.e. name players, Mike Grier is very poised to do so. We'll see which direction this thing heads as we approach 7 o'clock Eastern. And don't forget, our draft show tonight goes just after 7 o'clock right here at our Daily Faceoff YouTube channel. Meanwhile, Daily Outline, powered by FanDuel. Make every moment more with North America's #1 sportsbook, and that is FanDuel. Coming up on the program today, he'll be here in a couple of seconds. He is the one and only Brian Burke, someone who knows a thing or two about pulling off trades, at the draft. I mean, Matthew Darche, congratulations, moving Noah Dobson, but then what Burke did with Vancouver so many years ago with Henrik and Daniel, that is still the top drawer move. Stephen Ellis will be aboard. He just released his draft rankings this morning. We'll get to him about him. We'll get to that conversation. We'll talk about Noah Dobson, now the Montreal Canadiens. We'll talk about John Tavares. The CBA, there's a new CBA, and again, like it's topic number 5 today. Rumors, trades, the NHL draft in Los Angeles. And that's where we're at right now. Now, bringing aboard our man for Civilian Fridays. This segment is a presentation of Budweiser. Budweiser is encouraging buds to make time for hockey, not excuses. Every goal, every check, every win is better enjoyed with your buds. Phone a bud, text a bud, ping a bud, and call out their excuses for bailing on hockey. When it's hockey time, it's go time. And man, is it ever a pleasure to welcome back to the program the one and only, on draft day here, day one, the one and only Brian Burke. Burke, I know that you have a significant history when it comes to the draft and making picks and also making trades. I always got the sense, Brian, that this was one of your favorite days on the calendar. True or false?
True. But you know what? After I did the deal for the Twins, it kind of dried up. It was really hard for me to do a deal after that. Kind of wrecked the market. Not just for me, for a lot of guys.
Why is that?
I think it worked out pretty well for the Vancouver Canucks.
It worked out great, but I mean, we've heard managers before have the reputation, don't do a deal with that guy. You're gonna have to count your fingers after you shake hands. Did you get that? Like, were other managers gun shy about making deals with you at that point?
Yeah, I'll never forget. I went to see Doug Riceborough, and we were trying to trade Bobby Ryan. We thought we could get Bobby Ryan at 5 or 6 or move down. And obviously we weren't allowed to do that. But I talked to Riceborough, and I said, we can get something where we both get something good. And he said to me directly, quote was, "I've seen your act before at this draft. I'm not talking to you," and walked away. So that was the end of it. But a couple other GMs told me the same thing. You got people twice. You got the Pronger deal in '93. You got the Twins. That's all.
Yeah. Those were substantial ones that people still talk about. Today, Matthew Darche, new general manager for the New York Islanders, moves Noah Dobson, first pairing right shot defenseman, to the Montreal Canadiens. So now all of a sudden their right side has Hudson and has Dobson as well. I want to park the Montreal conversation, but I want to ask you about Matthew Darche. Now, it's his first go around in the big chair, but he's been part of an elite level NHL team for a long time and been around Brisebois and Yzerman, etc. So as much as it might feel like he's new, sure, he's in charge and making the final call here, but he's been around it for a long time. Here's my question to you. How many managers right now and how many agents do you think are testing Matthew Darche?
Well, I think everyone wants to test you. When you're a rookie, you get tested. But I think, to me, the key is with Matthew Darche, I like the fact he has a proper background. He's not some analytics jerk that knows how to use a slide rule. This is a guy that went and worked for a championship team, put in his time. Reminds me of my past, only no championships before that when I worked for Pat Quinn. You work for a great guy, you learn your craft, you get better at it, you work, you're patient. Now you get your shot. So I'm not surprised that Matthew Darche got a good chance and has made a huge first deal. You can't be afraid. Even if you're a rookie, you can't be afraid.
You're right about that one, too. Like, this is a bold first move. Normally when managers get the big chair, their first move is kind of a quiet move, but there's no wading into the kiddie pool here. This is Matthew Darche diving off the 15-meter diving tower into the deep end. What do you make of the Dobson deal? Like, Montreal sends 2 first-round picks, Emil Heineman as well, who's poised to set the record here for most teams. Mike Sillinger, Heineman's coming for your record of 12. But 2 first-round picks, and no one thinks that Darche is done. Everyone thinks that Darsh is going to package these picks, still try to move up, wants to grab James Higgins, bring the local boy home. How do you evaluate this trade? And we should point out, too, that a contract extension comes along with this. 8 years, 9.5 is the AAV for Noah Dobson.
Well, I don't think this deal makes sense unless he was signed. So this is a nice piece of work. It's a very expensive deal, but good players cost good assets. It's not easy to get a player like Noah Dobson signed for 8 years. After this draft, once a new CBA kicks in, you can't even do 8-year deals anymore.
Yep.
So to me, this is a nice piece of business. I don't think he's done. I don't know Matthew well. I know him well enough to say hi to him. I respect him. I don't think he's done. Why would he be done?
Mm-hmm. Well, and the thing about it that we all wonder, like, this doesn't always work, but the vibe out there very much is that he wants to grab James Higgins, who at this time last year, we were talking about being the first overall draft pick. Now it's going to be Matthew Schaefer. That story, when it works, it's great. And I want to get to John Tavares here in a couple of seconds. When it works, it's great, but it doesn't always work out when the local boy goes home. Yeah, like, were you ever weary of that, or was it anything that you really wanted to do, or did it just depend on the player?
It depends on the player. If you're going to be a local boy coming home, Islanders are a good place to do it because you're kind of alone. You're kind of left alone there. It's not Toronto. It's not Vancouver. It's not somewhere where every second guess every single move you make. They'll critique you badly. So to me, if you're going to bring a homeboy home, New York Islanders is probably a good place to do it as any. He's a good player. Now, he's dropped in the draft. Everyone said he was first overall a year ago. Yep. He's dropped down to 5. I don't think there's any doubt he's going to play, and play certainly within a year.
He's a remarkably creative player, and he played on a really hot line at Boston College, as we all know, with Perreault and Leonard. And we'll see. Like, I have a hard time seeing a player like that get past a team like Nashville, who's always wanted a high-scoring center and a skilled center. But here's the other complicating factor, and what makes this year's draft so fascinating. I don't know that San Jose is going to keep the second pick. Now, San Jose's got $44 million worth of cap space. They have some needs on the blue line. They have Michael Celebrini. They have Will Smith up front. At that point, does someone like Michael Misa become a luxury item? I mean, I look at this. This might be the one draft where it seems like more teams than not are saying, whether it's Boston, whether it's Buffalo, whether it's Philadelphia Flyers, our pick is available here. Do you have a thought on this year's draft, just with how many teams are making picks available? And if you're the San Jose Sharks, do you just keep the pick and take Misa, or do you say, let's see what we can get for it?
Well, you have to ask. You have to put the pick out there. You say to yourselves, say everyone will call the same answer. I'm keeping my pick unless someone blows my doors off. And then you wait and see if someone does. Someone will, maybe. Often, the best thing to do, more often than not, is keep your pick. Pick the player you like and wait and see him develop. That's the best thing 90% of the time. But there's some guys in the Hall of Fame that did it the other way too. So that's, to me, it's all a function of what the draft is. The reason we were able to do the deal for the Twins was the first round was so weak. It was easy to get people to move their picks. It's the worst first round in the history of the NHL. So you got to evaluate that. But if you've got good players around you, pick unless someone blows you away.
That's what I'm wondering about Matthew Darsh here, is swinging it back to him one more time. If you want Higgins and you've got those 2 first-round picks from the Montreal Canadiens in the Noah Dobson deal, at what point do you know when to pull the trigger? Is it a matter of, like, would Darsh be calling every manager before he makes his pick and saying, who are you going to take? And if you're going to take James Higgins, would you be interested in these 2 picks? Or would everybody on the floor already know, look, Darsh has put those 2 picks in play?
That's hard to do on the floor. You got to do a lot of work before. Everyone thinks we did the deal on the floor for the Twins. We did. We did all the groundwork before that. Same with Chris Pronger in '93. So to me, you've got to do all the groundwork before it and say, if this scenario becomes possible, if we would move this pick, what would we be willing to trade for it? Unless you have a good idea, you're wasting time.
This is the week, you and I have talked about this before, where there's a lot of deception, there's a lot of sleight of hand, there's a lot of mirrors and black curtains. I'm always reminded, and I said it again off the top of the show, the Winston Churchill line about truth at wartime is so precious and sacred that it needs to be attended to and protected by a bodyguard of lies. That's kind of how I feel about information around this time. Like, is this the one week, like from manager to manager, where everybody tries to cloud up or muddy up what they're really trying to do?
Well, I don't think it behooves you to lie. I think you can stretch it a little bit. The other great quote is the first casualty of war is truth.
Yes.
So I think people feel that they're entitled to stretch it a little bit. But if you flat out lie to a guy, he'll never forget that. Mm-hmm. I know it happened to me once. I've never forgiven or forgotten the GM involved. I'll never do a trade with him again. He's long gone as a GM. But remember, he flat out lied to me. I was like, you can stretch it a little bit. You can say we might do this, we might do that, even if you have no intention of doing it. Right. You flat out lie to a guy, he's never going to forget that.
Okay, so we've got the draft in Los Angeles. I can't believe that as far as topics go, a new CBA, although it hasn't been ratified yet, is down the topic list. I want to get to one more thing here. John Tavares re-signs with the Toronto Maple Leafs. Brad Treliving getting this deal done. It is a 4-year deal. The AAV is $4.38 million. Significantly less than he would have got on the open market. I'm of the belief that Anaheim would have offered somewhere between 7.5 to 8 on a short-term deal, like maybe 2 years, but nonetheless. Utah as well, I think, is a team that we look at that would have been out there for John Tavares at a bigger price point. What do you read into this one? We're trying to figure out, Zach and I a second ago, Berkey, when the last time the Maple Leafs got a break on a contract like this. John Tavares, 4-year. I know he's not 25 years old, but still, $4.38 million on a salary cap that's going up, up, up. This is a tidy bit of business by Brad Treliving.
Well, I agree, but I don't think it's a big break. I don't think he's going to get $7 million for more than 2 years, and I've never heard that figure. I don't think he would have got $7 million for 2. The big fight with the older guys, Marchand found that out with the Bruins. Stamkos found it out with the Tampa Bay. The big fight now for 27 and 28-year-olds is term. So for John Tavares to get a 4-year deal at that kind of dough, I think it's just right. I don't think it's a great break. I don't think he gave up a lot. I don't think they gave up a lot. I think it makes sense. I'm glad. I like this player a lot. I'm glad for him. He should finish his career here. I like it, but I don't say, ooh, what a great deal. Boy, did JT make a deal.
But, I mean, you got to look. I think at a certain point, as a manager, don't you get away from the actual number and just look at percentage of the cap? Like, in a couple of years, this thing's going to look minuscule.
Yeah, we'll see what John Tavares is doing in 3 years, too. It's not – there's some risk involved with a player of this age. Now, when he signed for 7 years, I thought he would lose pace over that time. I said this contract will age poorly. I was wrong. John Tavares has earned every cent he earned on that contract. He was paid fairly. He earned every dime they gave him, so no problem. But I'm not sure it's going to age gracefully 4 more years. We'll see. It could be a buyout year that last year.
Speaking of buyouts, really quickly, just a quick thought on Marc-Edouard Vlasic, who went on waivers for the purposes of a buyout, unconditional waivers. I think we tend to forget that he was on Team Canada a couple of different times, was a real good defender for a long time, was part of that San Jose Sharks team. We think of Thornton and Pavelski and Marlowe, etc. They were always in contention for winning the conference championship, if not the Stanley Cup. Do you have a quick thought on the career of, because I really do believe this is the end, for Marc-Edouard Vlasic?
Yeah, it's a sad day. The end comes suddenly for some players, more suddenly than for others. Some guys ride off gracefully into the sunset. Some guys get a buyout and a short list ticket. They get a short bus ride to the airport, and that's it. Mm-hmm. And with Marc-Edouard Vlasic, it looks like more of the latter is going to end swiftly and surely. But let's not overlook his career. This guy was a really good player. He's a great kid. I got a chance to talk to him in Sochi one time when he was playing for Team Canada. We were waiting out to go to to leave the Olympic Village, and he was standing next to me, and I never talked to him before. What a bright kid! What a nice kid! So good luck, Mark Edward.
Pierre Lebrun, a minute ago, reporting the Columbus Blue Jackets have acquired Charlie Coyle from the Colorado Avalanche. Listen, Columbus is one of those teams that was in the running for Noah Dobson. It looks very much like the Columbus Blue Jackets with Don Waddell here. They just moved Daniil Tarasov, the goaltender, to the Florida Panthers as well. It seems like Columbus here, Berkey, is going to continue to be one of those teams that continues to remake the team, and they have the feeling very much like they're closer than farther away to a playoff spot in the Metropolitan.
Well, picking up Charlie Coyle sure looks like a team that thinks they have plans.
Yeah,
looks to me like he's played second line center. I think at this point now, if he's your 3C, you got a real good team. So it looks like they're putting some building blocks around their team. I like it. I like Charlie Coyle a lot. He's a good player, but I thought Charlie Coyle was going to get moved to a contender that was closer to the front of the line than Columbus. Right. No offense to Columbus, but we'll see. Find out now.
What was Don Waddell like? You both managed at the same time. What was Donnie Waddell like?
He was a much nicer guy than I am. He was much gentler guy, much more polite. Always polite. Donnie Waddell. Everyone liked Donnie. A lot of people didn't like me, but everyone liked Donnie. I like Donnie. He's a good man. Donnie's a very wealthy man, too.
Yes.
He's a real estate magnate.
Yep. Did he make a lot of money with porta potties and real estate and strip malls? Yeah.
When he was still playing in northern Michigan. He played one NHL game, Donnie Waddell.
Yeah, he was one of the he was one of the cup of coffee guys. He was one of the cup of coffee guys. Yeah, for sure. Okay, let's get to a story that on any other day, most days, on most weeks, Berkey, would be the number one story. Even though both sides at their press conference today announcing the MOU, the Memorandum of Understanding, even though neither side has ratified it, Berkey, there's a peacetime CBA. You know, this didn't happen in 94. This didn't happen in 2003. Like this, 2004, 5. This, we're not used to this. You know, the last time, was the COVID CBA, and both sides just had to keep the game on the ice, and there was different motivations, obviously, for that thing to get done quickly. But I'm stunned. Like, I don't know about you, but I'm stunned that we're still over a year out from the expiration of this CBA, and there's the NHL Players Association, there's the NHL on stage in Los Angeles announcing an MOU on a new CBA. I'm stunned.
Well, I'm not stunned because I think this process started long ago, and the notion of being able to avoid a work stoppage and get a deal done is phenomenal. It's a testament of the people involved. So Marty Walsh will get a lot of the credit. Ron Hainsey deserves a lot of the credit for me. I think he speaks for the players with measured voice. He's a very realistic guy, very rational guy. I think he had a lot to do with this. Gary Bettman, Bill Daly, congratulations. It's a smart deal. I don't know there's a few things I have to find out about, a few things I don't like about it. But in general, it's a peacetime deal. It furthers the cooperation and coordination of the league and the Players Association, continued growth. It's a win-win. It's great. I think it's Gary Bettman's. I think this will be the final piece he wants to do before he sails off into the horizon at some point. Hopefully not too soon.
Yeah, you know what? That's a good point too. I've wondered if through, because right now, like, he's the position in his career where he's writing his legacy, and I think that Gary Bettman, the commissioner, wanted to show that he could do a CBA clean, without a hammer, without a lockout, as we've seen before, and he's done that. I still wonder if he wants to be responsible for one more round of expansion before he hands the keys over to Bill Daly, the deputy commissioner. But we'll see. A couple of things in this deal I'm curious about, and I'm curious about your thoughts on. 84 games. Now, it's a reduction in preseason games to 4, but it looks like we're playing 84 games, Berkey. Man.
I think this is my one beef, and it's a very significant beef. I have said from the get-go, we've played too many games already. Adding games makes no sense. And it's bullshit to say, oh, we're taking 2 preseason games out and replacing them with real games. Don't tell me the wear and tear is the same on a preseason game.
True.
Don't tell me this isn't just another chance to put some more money in the players' pockets without thinking about the consequences. We should be going backwards to games played, not forward. We should go to 76 games played. There's a way to do it. We'll talk about it another time, but That's my big beef. I also don't know where they stand on the revenue sharing and the floor and the ceiling. I didn't see anything about that yet.
Yeah, well, the interesting thing about the ceiling is, and I wonder, like, I'm just trying to think of like the Gary Bettman motivation here. So a couple of months ago, the NHL put out the salary cap numbers, the ceiling, right? So they put out 95, 104, and 113. Just to give the players a look at how much the salary cap is going to grow. I don't think that Gary Bettman and Bill Daly do anything frivolously. I think everything they do is calculated, and there's a reason why they do it. And I can't help but thinking these numbers were put out as a demonstration to the players about how much money was out there, as a subtle reminder that we'd like to do this CBA and get it over with quickly, and we don't want big fights over players looking for a piece of expansion, players looking for other pieces, looking for new places to fight. I wonder if this was done deliberately to show the players, look, this is the money that's out there. Don't make us do anything we don't want to do. Agree or disagree?
Agree, 100%. And Gary doesn't do anything haphazardly or without great thought. He's a very thoughtful guy. And I like the way the league is moving. I wonder what the ticket prices are going to look like with this model, though. It's fine to say, here's the salary cap goes up. I know one thing. Ticket prices are reaching a peak at some marketplaces already. This just says they're going to charge more. People are going to pay more to go to games. That bothers me. Also, I do think expansion is built in. I'm hearing $2 billion for expansion.
Yes.
Hearing Atlanta and Houston.
Yes.
And I'm opposed to expansion, as you know, at any price. I think it's a mistake. We're going to end up with 40 teams or 36 teams. That's crazy. You have a Stanley Cup parade every 36 years. Crazy. Nuts. Dumb.
What's your issue with with revenue sharing?
If they're going to maintain the same thing. Right now, the lesser revenue teams are subsidized significantly by the higher revenue teams. There's no change to that formula. My guess is there's no change to that. Industry Growth Fund. There's some mechanisms built in there to help grow the game. I want to see if those are maintained. My guess is they are.
I think they wanted to do more for the middle revenue teams as well. Some of the we'll see when we get all the details of this thing. Here's the one thing that I wonder about. Should winning the Stanley Cup take you out of the revenue sharing pool, at least for 1 year, or winning 2 Stanley Cups?
My view is no, because one, you shouldn't be penalized ever for doing a great job. What they've done in Florida is a great job. They shouldn't be penalized for that. I think what bothers me more is, it's a draft lottery. Too many teams involved. Yeah. It's ridiculous that the Islanders are picking first. It's insane to me. There should be 5 teams in the lottery, no more than 5 teams. They pick an inverse order. If they pick 2 years in a row where they miss their lottery teams, they drop out of the lottery. Let's no more multiple trips to the buffet line. I don't think the top 5 picks in the NHL draft have changed much in the last 5 years. It's got to stop.
Okay, a couple of quickies here for you. I'm really curious to see what Utah does. Now, Utah's already made the one big move, bringing in J.J. Peterka from the Buffalo Sabres. Michael Kesselring, Josh Doan go the other way. Kevin Adams is kind of getting booted around for this one. And Bill Armstrong is getting the flowers on it. I wonder what else they do. Like, I wonder, there's a right side hole right now on the blue line. I wonder about Aaron Ekblad. I also wonder about Vladislav Gavrikov, two big right shot free agent defensemen. I think Utah is poised to do big things here in the offseason if they can. Do you have a team that you have your eyes on here? And listen, maybe it's that team that has $44 million of cap space to play with right now, and that's the San Jose Sharks.
Well, San Jose, I think Mike Greer can improve his team a lot. The problem is there's not enough players. All the people they're going to sign this guy, they're going to sign Marner, they're going to sign this guy, they're going to sign that guy. There's not enough player spots to go around, maybe not enough cap room to go around. So people are saying we're going to improve our team. We got $44 million. You got to have a player who wants to go there and take that money without overpaying absurdly. So let's wait and see. I think there's a lot of noise, a lot of thunder right now about that we've got so much cap room. We're going to get this player, that player. I think there's a limited number of quality players to go around. I don't think people are going to see as much activity as they thought. You can see more trades and hockey deals than free agent deals.
Let me ask you about Mitch Marner. He's going to market. I mean, even Brad Treliving is saying unless there's something that significantly changes, he's going to test. Vegas seems to be the biggest magnet for him. There's a lot of talk about the Carolina Hurricanes, a lot of talk about the Dallas Stars. That would mean some cap maneuvering there for Jim Nill. Do you have a thought as this Marner process continues to play itself out here? Maybe the one thing that we do know is it's not going to be over on July 1st, that this is going to be one of those situations that's going to take a few days.
Well, that's what the agent said, and I think he's serious. I think he believes that. But if they get the right offer in the right situation, they're going to go. And I think that Vegas is a real possibility. I hear Anaheim's making a real hard push. So We'll see. I don't see how Dallas can do this. I don't see how Florida can do this. But I think Vegas can. And I think that Anaheim certainly can. And looks like they're poised to do that. It looks a lot like the blueprint or the model before Patrick Kane got to Chicago with Joel Quenneville.
Yeah.
So to me, I think that's what they're looking at as a model. I'm not sure that works. But I think that's what I keep hearing, those two teams.
Do you think Florida, and again, like teams will always change. We know that. But do you think Florida, by and large, can keep the band together here and take one more run at it?
I don't see how they can keep their team together. They lost significant pieces a year ago. It's amazing. Yes. Montour gone, and look at the list of players that left. Stolar's gone. Everyone said, well, it's going to be real hard to repeat with the players they lost. They're going to lose more pieces. I'm not so sure. It looks like there's a whole bunch of teams, Dallas, Toronto, all the same teams that can't get over that hump and win that cup. And so to me, they're all trying to catch on to Florida. I'm not sure Florida can keep the group together for another try.
The McDavid question still burns. The McDavid question is still out there. The press conference that he gave, I think, just raised more questions than provided answers. And we were talking the other day here on the show and coming to the conclusion that it seems like Conor McDavid is looking for a reason to stay. That's what he wants to do. And now it's up to Stan Bowman to show him why he should stay in Edmonton. Where is Brian Burke at the Conor McDavid situation?
I don't know, Connor. He said hi to me a couple of times. I really like him, obviously as a player and as a person from what I've seen. I think he wants to stay. I think that's a sincere reaction. He's trying to find a reason to give Stan Bowman a reason to stay. I don't think he's going to do a 7 or 8 year deal, though, in the new system. I believe he's going to do a mid-range deal, a 4 or 5 year deal, and see what happens.
You think we see more players doing that? Like I know in the new CBA, it's going to come down a year. The max you can sign is 7 years. But do you think we start to see more guys? And it's almost like a basketball style: 2 years here, 2 years here, and just keep ringing the bell the whole way.
What does Jack Hughes make now? What does Kel McCarr make now? These guys that grab 8 years, they're all woefully underpaid after 2 or 3 years. If you read what Gary says the cap's going to go up, anyone who does a 7 or 8 year deal is a fool.
It's going to go up to 113 in a couple of years. Why would you lock in now? Remember when when all those guys signed $6 million deals? Like it was like Johnny Gaudreau did and Nathan McKinnon did, and we all said, "Wow, this is a lot of money." And then 5 minutes later, they're all underpaid. Like all of them. Like it took like 1 year, Brian. Like I think you're bang on. Like why would you do listen, unless you're like a lower end player that just wants the security. But if you're a high end guy, why lock in on term?
If you're a low end player, you're not getting 7 years anyway. And if
True.
you are, if you're a frequently injured player, I get security. If you're a guy that has been banged up or has some injury concerns, I understand taking the security. Otherwise, do a 3-year deal, save as much money as you can, and then get back to the table.
Let me close on a Toronto Maple Leaf question really quickly. If you're Brad Treliving, what are you doing with Matthew Knies right now? It seems as if the two sides aren't exactly close now. Matthew Knies is a restricted free agent, but even Brad Treliving himself, and it's rare to see a general manager bring this up unprompted, mentioned offer sheets yesterday.
I don't think he's getting offer sheeted. I think he's just keep enough cap room to make sure he can match an offer sheet. He doesn't profile as a player who should be offer sheeted. I think he'll get a deal done and stay right where he is.
All right. Berkey, this is great. Enjoy the draft and what might even seem like trade deadline as well tonight. Thanks for the insight as always. Look forward to catching up next week.
Thanks, Jeff. Thanks for having me on.
There he is, the great Brian Burke, no stranger to this day, draft day. Well, round 1 anyway. Rounds 2 through 7 go tomorrow. And speaking of the draft, let's get to Los Angeles right now. And our lead draft analyst is the one and only Stephen Ellis, whose final mock is out there right now at dailyfaceoff.com. And like, Stephen, before you came on, we were talking about the San Jose Sharks. Like, we're just going to bracket the Islanders here for a second, even though Matthew Darche is going to come out the star of the day. He's already made the one move with Dobson. Probably make more moves later on, leading into the first round here. But there's a lot of talk about San Jose. Either who will they take, or will they trade the pick? Teams like maybe Utah and Nashville looking at Michael Misa, trying to move up. What's the buzz now? What's the scuttlebutt in Los Angeles?
Given how this has gone in so many different directions, like I wouldn't be surprised if what happens is they go up to announce their pick, they wait too long, and they have their pick taken away from them for just not drafting. Like, I don't know what to believe. Like, the people that were telling me yesterday it was going to be Grundell or saying Misa, now they're saying, like, oh, maybe the trade. Like, do the San Jose Sharks know at this point? Like, I'm not sure. So it's trying to kind of weed through what's real, what's not, and I think there's kind of like an equal number of people that are saying one way or the other. And at this point, good luck, San Jose. I have no idea what you're going to
do. All things being equal, like, because we always talk about all the trades and all the movement going in, and then teams just go in there and they make their picks. And we say the same thing every year. It feels different this year. But let's just say the San Jose Sharks go up there at number 2 and make their pick. Misa or Frondell? Do you have a thought on either? I think Frondell gets past Chicago. Like, if San Jose takes Misa, I think Frondell's taking, Chicago's going to Frondell. But who do you think the San Jose Sharks take at 2?
Who I think they could take? I put Frondell in my mock draft earlier today, and I feel a lot less confident about that at 5 a.m. local time here than I feel a lot less confident now than I did at 5 a.m. local time. It's 12:30 here, so we'll see. I think. For me, that pick should have been Michael Misa. I think regardless, you're always got to take the best player available. And when you're looking at that high of the draft, I get the idea for drafting for specific needs or specific situations, but those specific needs could change on July 1st. So for me, go out there and pick the best player available. That is always the right choice. And I think when you look at Michael Misa, just based off the pure skill, the offensive ability, what he could do at both ends of the ice, like, there's a thing that, like, players need to be applauded for being in the right spot at the right time. And that's Michael Misa. He's always in the right spot at the right time. And you see him being able to put that production up. And I remember watching him, like, in his OHL draft year, and he looks more like a two-way player. He's become more offensively dominant since then, but he still has that two-way nature in him. And if I had to pick any player in this draft that I think could go out there and score the biggest goal to win the Stanley Cup, if I needed it right now, it's Michael Misa.
Give us your thoughts, what you've seen, what you hear, what you know about Anton Frondell.
You hear the Barkov situation or the Barkov comparisons, and, like, I don't think that's completely 100%. Definitely not at the same skating level, but what you see is a guy that's still got the hockey sense. He's got that big body, the most difficult player to play against in this draft. So if he goes number 2, like I do see the appeal. It's just I don't know if that's what I would do personally. But I'm not an NHL GM, so there's
that. Brady Martin's been making waves the last month or so. Now he's not there; he's at the farm because he's a farm boy and he has chores and obligations and things he needs to do at the farm, which I would imagine, Stephen, general managers would love. Didn't go to his draft because he had work to do on the farm. That is, and I can see the smile on your face from ear to ear, that is a manager's dream. Puts aside personal glory because he's got work to do on the family farm. You have a thought on Brady Martin here?
Well, I think you know my opinions on how much I love him as a player and how much you love him as a player. And my wife's family, they're on a farm, so I understand it's very difficult to just kind of walk away from that and everything. But the fact that that hardworking nature you see on the ice is a big product of off the ice. And this is a guy where you talk to scouts like last summer, or even like recently, they say like it wasn't always clear if hockey was going to be the future for him, and whether or not like when he talks about hockey or the farm, like the farm was a high option for him, and I still think could be down the line. But I think imagine if he put a bit of extra work on making sure he could be a better skater, like that all of a sudden this guy's dominant. And that's the thing, like the things in his game that he's missing right now, as soon as he gets in with the NHL coaches and his full focus is trying to be the best hockey player possible, I think he's going to become one of the most dominant players we see in this draft. So I'm high on him. Don't think he's going to Utah at number 4. Will he be gone by 6? I think so.
I want to hear my favorite Brady Martin story.
Let's hear it.
So he gets drafted by the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds, and he's going to his first year with Kyle Raftis' team, and he's got he's trying to sort out like his billeting situation, which family he's going to live with, and what he wanted to do, he was trying to find a billet family that could accommodate a cow, because he wanted to bring his cow from the farm to Sault Ste. Marie because he wanted the milk from his cow every morning. Brady Martin couldn't find a billet family. Can you imagine being a billet family and like getting like the note from Kyle Raftis, the GM of the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds? Can you accommodate a cow? We have this new kid coming in from Elmira, and he's looking for a place to house his cow. Do you have appropriate lodgings for a cow? That's Brady Martin. It's my favorite Brady Martin story.
That's the thing. I would have loved to see him go to like Mississauga or Brampton and just like, where do you put this thing?
Poor James Richmond. How am I going to get a freaking... Wait, any billets have a place to put a cow?
Did anyone have a backyard?
Anything. Yeah. Anyone in Mississauga. Yeah, we barely have backyards. So one other name that... Well, first of all, Caleb Desnoyers' name continues to pop up. Like at the Memorial Cup, Barry Trotz, GM of the Nashville Predators, was all over Moncton. But the Chicago Blackhawks have had 7 different meetings with Caleb Desnoyers. Quick thought on him, and then I want to talk about Jake O'Brien of the Bulldogs too. Start with Desnoyers. What can you tell us?
Well, you look at him and you see the numbers, like over 80 points and all that production, and you say, okay, that's pretty good. But you compare it to a guy like Jake O'Brien or Porter Martone, who could be available at number 4, and you're looking like, okay, well, like, what's the deal here? And I think there's a couple things that are intriguing. He's very physically strong. He's someone that you ask any teammate, any coach he's ever been a part of, they will always tell you, like, this is one of the best kids you're going to find on a personality level, but also at a leadership level. You'll look at all that winning he's done at all these different tournaments, and then he put up 80-something points despite playing through multiple injuries throughout the year. Like, he moved from center to the wing, so he didn't have to take as many faceoffs, and he still was extremely productive. And yeah, he was not great at the Memorial Cup, but from an overall standpoint, you look at it and say, like, imagine if he was fully healthy. Like, he could have easily 90-something points. So it feels like he's underrated, just like James Higgins.
Okay, give us a nickel and dime then on James Higgins, because I think we're all wondering now, okay, at what point is Matthew Darche going to call one of these teams and say, look, I got 2 first-round picks from the Montreal Canadiens. Do you want them in exchange for your pick so we can take Higgins?
it's like it's basically it's gonna happen. Just announce it, man. Just pick a team. I don't care. Make it happen. And it's interesting though, because it's like with Higgins, I saw one tweet. I can't remember who tweeted yesterday, and it's like if you watched him for the first time this year, never seen what he did in the last couple of years, you'd say like, yeah, he's a good prospect, not a number one prospect. And it feels like he didn't dominate by any means this year, but the hockey sense is still there, and he can do some great stuff. He's so skilled. He's one of the best players with the puck on his stick. And you watch what he did with the NTDP. He put up a ton of great numbers, but he wasn't just playing with like star talents. Like it's not like he had Will Smith and Ryan Leonard and those guys to play with. Like he was playing with one of my all-time favorite prospects, Teddy Stiga, but Teddy Stiga is not a huge point producer. So the numbers he was putting up was incredible, and I think the fact he'll be able to play with anyone, play so many different roles. I'm not too worried about his lack of a big frame. It's Logan Cooley, Jack Hughes right there.
You know, the interesting thing about Higgins too, playing on that line at Boston College with Perreault and Leonard. One of the things that someone that was there who's like watches all the games told me is we think that Higgins is getting kind of a short shrift on this one because Ryan Leonard like needs the puck and gets the puck and he goes to the net. There's not a whole lot of flow back and forth once Ryan Leonard gets a puck. He's not one of these guys where if you give him the puck, you just might as well go off on a line change. It's not that bad, but you give Leonard the puck, and he goes to the net. Like that's his puck. He said if it were a different kind of winger along with Gabe Perreault, you might see a different James Higgins. Do you believe that?
Yeah, he didn't have to dominate by any means. And I feel like a lot of his defensive impact was maybe like ignored by a lot of people, I think, this year. Like watching him with the World Juniors, he clearly wasn't the offensive dynamo of the three, but he was doing a great job making sure he was the first forward back. And it didn't seem like bigger players really intimidated him too much. So, it'll be interesting to see what he does do next year at BC with those two guys gone. We'll maybe get to see him with Teddy Stiga again. I'm excited to see that. And which is partly why I wanted Nashville to maybe take a run at Higgins. We'll see what happens there. But it feels like we could just write him down on the Islanders.
One more name, and then I'm going to make you smile. Watch this, everybody. First, Jake O'Brien. He's going to play on one of the best lines next year in junior hockey with Marek Vanacker and Caleb Malhotra. Played last year with Nick Lardis. That's not too shabby either. Your thoughts on someone who still needs to fill out, has room to grow, has a body that's going to accommodate a lot more muscle, and if someone's going to be a top 10, do we say top 5 if you squint hard enough pick?
I could feel confident about him at number 5 for Nashville. They need a center. I feel like he's got a decent frame, but he's got to fill out, like you said. And Nick Lardis owes him a future paycheck for how many great passes he received from him this
71
year.
Goals for Lardis. Good on
O'Brien,
Chicago, too, but still.
O'Brien made so much of that happen, and watching O'Brien do what he was doing, like the puck is glued to his stick. I love that.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, I'm going to make you smile now. Tell us everything we need to know about Jack Ivankovic. Your favorite netminder in the draft.
You're correct. Yes. My favorite goaltender because watch him in one-on-one situations. He rarely loses, and he can handle those breakaways. And I did a poll of OHL players, like who was the toughest goalie to play against in the league. Doesn't matter what draft situation there is, and almost every single one of them, Matthew Schaefer included, said Jack Ivankovic. And it's a guy he's small, 5'11". His dad's 6'5". You kind of hope he'll be 6'5".
Yeah,
but he didn't grow at all this year, so that doesn't really help. Yeah, that's not confidence inspiring. But you watch him at all those international tournaments, purely dominant, just a great glove hand, very athletic. Reminds me a lot of Dustin Wolf at the same age. And Dustin Wolf, I had him as a first-round prospect in 2019. So I don't have Jack Ivankovic as a first-round prospect because I still don't. It's still hard to be fully all in on small goalie prospects, but he is easily one of my favorite goalie prospects.
Off to Michigan next season from the Brampton Steelheads. Listen, enjoy the night. We'll be checking in on the draft show with me and Pierre McGuire after 7 o'clock Eastern. Look forward to it, and I look forward to that program, and look forward to chatting with you again later on this evening after we get a clearer sense of who's doing what and who's going where. Thanks for lifting the fog a little bit with us today. Much appreciated, pal.
Let's just move on to 26. I got my 26 draft rankings beside me. My 27.
Okay, so who's number? So we know that Gavin McKenna is going to be number 1. Where do you have Ethan Belchetz of the Windsor Spitfires? Where do you have him?
I got him at number 6 right now. I want to see that off. He's.
Wow.
I'm a big Belichick fan. I don't know if it's higher or lower than other people, but I've never seen a dude physically dominate the OHL like he did.
Walks in as a rookie and he's like 6'5", 230, and guys are bouncing off of him. Belichick is a phenom. And I'm guessing you probably watched him. You watched him before the OHL because he's played Oakville Rangers, I believe. Yeah. Did you get a chance to watch? You probably watched him then before he joined Windsor, right?
Watched him a lot. I remember watching him. I think he had a hat trick against Barrie in the Barrie Junior Colts, where like that star team everyone was trying to beat, and he kind of just took Oakville like on his shoulders and said, "Watch this." Dominated that game.
Okay. All right. We'll get to 2026. We'll get there, Stephen. Just calm down. Let's get through tonight and the rest of the weekend. Okay. You be well, pal. Thanks for checking in.
Thanks so much.
From Los Angeles, Stephen Ellis. His mock draft available right now at dailyfaceoff.com. Is there, Zach, anything that's happened in the last half hour other than the Columbus Charlie Coyle deal that I need to
Not that I have
comment
seen
on here?
Not that I have seen. Lots of people talking to people, but nothing that has happened here. Or looks like Islanders are still active, but that's what we're getting.
Is a draft where you want the old school draft of everybody on the floor, because there is so much movement with so many teams willing to move picks and so many teams thinking that they have a shot next year and willing to acquire and move players to get there. This is a draft where you want everybody on the floor and walking around talking to each other. That's what you want. But
and this is one where we have the coverage where we've got us sitting here and Stephen Ellis live on site telling us, okay, it looks like we now have Matthew Darche. He's walked up over to, oh my God, is he walking over to the Nashville table? He is.
Hold on a second. And now he's walking over, and him and Barry Trotz are holding hands walking to Central Registry. Oh my God, what's
Back to you in the booth.
Yeah, no, it could have. What could have been, right, Zach? What could have been? Anything stand up before we get to the conclusion here of the show? And remind you, draft coverage tonight for us here on our Daily Faceoff YouTube channel with me and Pierre McGuire, and a list of guests like coaches, managers, friends and family of the prospects you're going to hear call tonight. That gets underway at 7:00 Eastern. I know you and your team, Zach, have been working around the clock, and I got a chance to look at some of the graphics and things that you have put together. And I don't know where you find the time, but nonetheless, bless you. Well done. Anything from the program today that stands out for you, whether it's Dobson, Islanders, Schaefer, who's picking where, JT extension, Coyle trade, all of it. What jumps to you?
Well, I touched on the JT extension with you off the top. I think the one thing for today is just the uncertainty. And,
it's great.
We'll see how the draft goes. And it's good for us, obviously, especially when I'm sitting here trying to put all this stuff together and be as prepared as possible for chaos to happen.
Yeah.
Just to prepare for chaos and be like, wow, at least people are saying that something could happen. We'll see if that plays out. But I don't know. I said to you off the top, or actually before we started the show, and I don't know, maybe it's just because this is the most I've been involved in coverage of the draft and the league to this extent. But I don't remember a draft going into where it's felt this uncertain. We come on here and there's a conversation about who could go second, but then it's beyond who goes second. It's who picks second. Does San Jose even want to keep that pick? Okay, now San Jose moves. Who goes there? And then what happens with the ones after them? Because you talked about it, let's say Misa doesn't go second. Is someone really horny to get into the third pick now, and they want to jump up there and they really want Misa, where they didn't think they could get him at 2. It's that's what this draft feels like, where I feel like that hasn't necessarily been the case to this extent in years past.
The only thing, I'm just trying to think back of all the drafts that I've covered professionally. The Montreal draft, man, that was a weird one. Because there was the Shane Wright, Yuri Slavkovsky issue, question mark, who's going to go first overall to the Montreal Canadiens. And then Shane Wright just started slipping and fell to the Seattle Kraken. And do you remember what else happened? that year in the first round?
No. What else? What else was that year? The makeout
Something
in the stands?
something major. Something major happened that year that threw a wrench into all of it, all the proceedings, and carried on into the following morning.
I don't remember. No, what was that one?
The Rogers system went down. No one could use their phones.
Oh yeah, I
couldn't get in touch with my wife until the next morning. I'm like, I remember going to bed that night, and I'm like, did like an apocalypse just happen? Like, is this like 28 days later? I can't communicate with anybody. I can't get in touch with anybody, and everybody was the same way. And then there were those trades from Ottawa, right? Talbot, Alex DeBrincat, and then I don't know what else happened later on that may have gotten scuttled or pushed, but the whole system fried or went down, whatever the technical term is for it. We're like, no one can talk to each other. I'm like, one of the biggest communication days that you need on the NHL calendar. Yeah. No one can talk to each other in the rink or outside the rink.
What a convenient time for that.
Oops.
I forgot that happened.
Yeah, that was wild.
That's funny.
Yeah, that's a crazy one. All right, let's
hope that doesn't happen tonight too.
Let's hope that. I know. I don't want to jinx what we got going on here either. Okay, the sheet is powered by FanDuel. Oh man, cross your fingers. Home of the same game parlay. Make every moment more on FanDuel. FanDuel, proud to connect fans to the major sports moments that matter to them. Yesterday was juicy from our friends at FanDuel. We got anything? What do we got lined up today?
So they've added a ton of stuff here today, and there's a lot of different directions that we could have gone. Like you can bet on what players will be drafted in the first round, who's going to go in the top 10, top 5, etc. You can pick all that. You can pick the exact orders. So FanDuel's done a pretty great job of putting up a lot of stuff for people. But based on, let's call it the noise of the day here, Jeff.
All right.
I've picked this specific market just because I think that, like, if somebody decides to get nuts, this is where it starts. Okay. Who goes second overall? And right now, Michael Misa is minus 440. The reason I just picked this out is because minus 440, like, that implies there's a strong likelihood, let's say, that Michael Misa goes second overall, and I don't necessarily think it's minus 440 worthy.
Put it this way. I think if Nashville or Utah trade with San Jose for that second pick, then it's Michael Misa.
Okay.
If San Jose makes the pick, I think there's a chance that it's Anton Frondel.
Right.
But
so you see where,
but
like,
to say, like, right now, like, again, like, this is gonna be one. This is gonna be one of these drafts where it's gonna be like after every pick, there's gonna be like, all right, timeout. There's gonna be so many timeout. Like, this draft may take like 5 hours.
Don't say that.
Sorry. Oh, you know what? And that's a really good one too. Like, if there's a trade up to number 2, it's for someone to grab Michael Misa. I can see Nashville doing it. I really can. And don't forget, Barry Trotz and Mike Greer have a background in making trades and making big trades together. These are two general managers that are very comfortable making deals together. You know, even going back to the Nashville draft, Nashville tried to move up to grab Will Smith in the San Jose spot. Ultimately, they couldn't. Yaroslav Askarov was going to be part of that deal. They ended up making a deal for Askarov later, but still, like, those are two GMs that when one manager wants something from the other, these two guys find a way. So if Nashville really does want to move up to number 2 and San Jose is interested in gathering assets, and again, I'll point this out, maybe a big contract, and we all know that the Nashville Predators have a lot of big contracts on their hands. If they want to do that, San Jose can accommodate. That's why if there's one team that I can see jumping up to grab that pick and make a big deal, make it their first splash after Schaefer goes to the New York Islanders, I wonder if it's the Nashville Predators. because those two managers find ways to make deals and seems as if I've always had an open line to dialogue. By the way, the other thing, as we're talking about Marc-Andre Vlasic,
Yeah.
you know what's got to suck?
No. What's got to suck?
It's his teammate buying him out.
Yeah, it is. Didn't think about that. Oh. It's like how you said they got to get Matt Martin to make the trade call to Suzuki.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm thinking about
Casey,
this week. Just
you're
like,
on the move.
Just like ruthless stuff. Like Mike Greer buying out his teammate. Matt Martin's got to tell you.
That's skid. That's
telling Suzuki he's getting traded. Oh, man. Could be real tough. Neither of these things have happened yet, but we'll see how it goes. So we'll stay tuned for all that tonight. Thanks for joining us on the program today. Thanks to Brian Burke for stopping by. It's been a couple of weeks without Berkey. He came back with a vengeance and was excellent as usual. Thanks to Stephen Ellis for stopping by from Los Angeles and giving us a little time and temp and a little preview of some of the names you're going to be hearing and seeing later on tonight. Speaking of tonight, Pierre McGuire and I will start our broadcast here on our Daily Faceoff YouTube channel at 7 o'clock Eastern. Really hope you can join us. It's kind of going to be like a casual watch along more than anything else. Like, we're not going to try to like replicate what Rogers or ESPN does. It's going to be more casual, more conversational, less formatted, this segment to that segment to that segment, and it's going to be more drop-ins. Have a lot of coaches lined up, have a lot of general managers lined up, have a lot of other people lined up to drop in to sort of color in these players that are going to be selected here in the first round. Also, should mention, the CHL is looking to break a record. I think, is it 22 or 23? The CHL's record for most players in the first round. That would have been the 2012 draft, the Nathan McKinnon draft. And the CHL is poised to come close, equal, or maybe even break that record tonight. We'll keep that going. See where that one ends up. Anyhow, thanks to Berkey. Thanks to Ellis. Thanks to you in the chat. Thanks to everyone that tuned in today on a very, very newsy day. Really glad to have your attention today. Thanks so much for sharing your time with us today, whether it's on YouTube, whether it's on your favorite podcast platform and podcatcher. Thank you so much, and enjoy the draft tonight. Hope you can hang out with us. If you have ESPN up on one or Rogers up on one, pop us up on another screen. Me and Pierre will do our best to keep you entertained for the entire night. And Dan McKenzie, by the way, the president of the CHL, will stop by at the end of all of it. How's that? Deal? Thanks for joining us. We'll be back in 3 hours. Conduct yourselves appropriately. We'll talk to you in 3 bells. Bye. If you enjoyed that video, and we certainly hope that you do, please hit the subscribe button right there here at Daily Faceoff. I will put this lineup up against any hockey lineup anywhere. It all gets underway at 9 o'clock Eastern with Morning Cup of Hockey. That is Johnny Lazarus. That is Colby Cohen. Then at noon, it's DFO Live. And then 3 o'clock Eastern, The Sheet. Get caught up on everything in hockey.